Breaking news this morning, Prince Harry just suffered a massive legal loss, and it could have serious repercussions for him and Meghan Markle. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and yes, Prince Harry just lost his legal challenge against the Home Office. Guys, he wanted UK taxpayers to fund his personal security every time he came out to the UK. And what's so frustrating about this is while Harry's out there complaining and fighting in legal battles, the reality is he had security from the UK. They gave him security on a case-by-case basis, and he could apply 29 days in advance when he knew he was coming to get it requested even further. So this guy had it. But just like Prince Harry and his insufferable, whiny ways, he needed more. And he wanted to save some money. His personal security cost him about like $4 or $5 million a year, and he wanted the taxpayers to pay it, not him. I just can't get over this guy and his ways. And I want to talk about what I think this really means, because I think there's a lot more to why Harry was fighting for this case, which again proves why we're so frustrated with this guy and his sneaky, lazy, entitled ways. But before we get to all those theories, let's break down what actually happened. So yes, the Duke of Sussex lost a high court challenge against the government over a decision to change the level of his taxpayer-funded personal security when he visits the UK. Prince Harry took legal action against the Home Office over the February 2020 decision of the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, RAVIC is what it's called, after being told he would no longer be given the same degree of publicly funded protection when in the country. Retired High Court Judge Sir Peter Lane rejected the Duke's case on Wednesday, concluding that RAVIC's approach was not irrational nor procedurally unfair. In his 52-page partially redacted ruling, he said Harry's lawyers had taken an inappropriate, formalistic interpretation of the RAVIC process. The bespoke process devised for the claimant in the decision of February 2020 was and is legally sound. Duke's lawyers previously told the court he was singled out and treated less favorably in the decision to change the level of his taxpayer-funded personal security. That's where all this stemmed from. He was singled out. I'm always being singled out. What's going on? But that hearing in London, the government insisted that the 39-year-old Harry's claim should be dismissed, arguing RAVIC was entitled to conclude the Duke's protection should be bespoke and considered on his case-by-case basis. And yes, retired High Court Peter Lane now issued his ruling on the case this morning, saying the application for the judicial review is refused. Now, we have the application. It's a lot. There's a few things he says in here, and I want to just focus on this because the judge is like, dude, enough complaining. That's all you do. Enough. The claimant contends the decision to provide case-by-case security was unreasonable because it resulted in excessive uncertainty and or hardship for the claimant and his private security team. It's really inconvenient, Judge. I want to be able to come whenever I want. I don't want to have to deal with will I get it and giving them notice. I just want to show up. Well, he's like, no, that's not enough. Sorry, as I explained, any problems regarding, and so the case-by-case approach may otherwise have caused difficulties. They have not been shown to be such as to overcome the high hurdle as is to render the decision-making irrational. So the only irrational one here is you, Harry, for spending all this time and money and wasting court resources so you can get extra security. Now, why does he want the extra security? Here's the real reason, and again, this is from the ruling. He's arguing, Prince Harry argues, that RAVIC should have considered the impact that a successful attack on him would have, bearing in mind his status, background, and profile within the royal family and his ongoing charity work and service to the public. RAVIC should have considered, in particular, the impact on the United Kingdom's reputation of a successful attack on the claimant. The issue of the impact plainly involves having regard to the tragic circumstances in which the claimant's mother lost her life and the impact of that loss felt across the world. The nature of that redacted text. Claimant also redacted text, I assume has kids. These considerations were so obviously material that it was irrational not to take them into account. Look at this. It is irrational that they didn't think about my mom. Oh my God, I'm as important as my mom. I do charity work. Literally, that's what he wrote here. I give back to charity. My status. Invictus Games. Can you imagine if we lost Prince Harry? I mean, look, I don't want to lose. I don't want to wish that on anybody, but my God, you're not above everybody else. Okay. Anybody can get attacked or hit by a bus just walking across the street. My God, you can pay for your own private security. You can get your own work. You can protect yourself just as you did. And let's be clear, you get it on a case-by-case basis. You still get that security. And here's the judge agreeing. The fact that claimant does not agree with, they talk about this, about, yeah, well, there's tons of attacks, and we sort of judge that based on the security level when you come, and there's a lot of reasons that there, but he considers appropriate likely public reaction were a successful attack to take place. The fact that claimant does not agree with the analysis does not begin to show that blank was not entitled to make it. A similar point applies to the way the claimants were considered. Their likely future activities were taken into consideration and addressed in the decision. They were an important reason why flexibility was built in the decision to allow for future case-by-case decision-making. The available assessments of threats posed to the claimant were also specifically considered and form part of the basis of the decision. And insofar as the claimant considers that blank and is inappropriate, this again is a view to which he is entitled, but which does not demonstrate that Ravik was legally incapable of concluding that in circumstances. They go into a lot of detail about all the attacks and things, and they're like, Harry, enough. We made the judgment. You aren't getting special treatment. We factored all of this into the ruling. And no, you aren't above everybody else. So kudos to this judge and everybody else for sticking to their grounds and doing this. I personally believe that there's more to it. I do. It's interesting because if you go back, Team Harry, this is from 2020, will continue to receive diplomatic protection whether or not they are active. It's perfectly reasonable for a lifelong member of the royal family to have security, says legal expert Mark Stevens. Well, apparently that's false. But they all expected this to happen. And when they left royal duties, they wanted to have the royal perks of the taxpayer benefits. And the royal family is like, no, we can't do that. That would create an uproar. It's not fair. You're not doing the duties. That's why you're not getting the taxpayer funded. But he is what's so frustrating about all this. He gets it on a case by case. So why is he really fighting for this? What's this really about? Well, it is about money, clearly. $4 or $5 million he can save that he wants the taxpayers to front, not him. How nice of him, how charitable of him. But beyond that, I was talking to Steph, I still think there's something more. And I think if he had won this, he would have next tried to get back into his IPP status, which is an internationally protected person. Because Harry's facing deportation here, facing potential charity things. Where's it going? There's a lot of stuff that's up in the air regarding Harry and his, he wants that diplomatic immunity. Let's keep it honest. And I think this was one of many steps that now have been squashed that are going to affect him seriously moving forward. And does this mean Meghan's never going to return because she feels so unsafe stepping in to the UK? We're going to talk a lot more about the ramifications about what all this means over on Popcorn Palace. Guys, if you haven't subscribed over there, what are you waiting for? That is the place where we do all our royal discussions. Yes, we'll do breaking royal news along with all pop culture news here on Popcorn Planet. But if you haven't yet gone there, thanks to everybody who's finally tuning in over there. Come on by to Popcorn Palace. I'll put the royal popcorn at the end of this. Come on over there for all the best daily royalty. We're getting so close to 75,000 subscribers. And then on our way to 100 with Steph. She's almost there too. Please subscribe to these channels. Let's get them going. Let's get it pumping. We will be covering other stories here on Planet. I hope you'll support as well. But what are your thoughts on this loss by Harry? This is a pretty big loss. The full statement from the Home Office did say, we are pleased that the court has found in favor of the government's position in this case, and we are carefully considering our next steps. Could they adjust, take away further case-by-case? Interesting. We'll find out what that means. It would be inappropriate to comment further. UK government's protective security system is rigorous and proportionate. It is our long-standing policy not to provide detailed information on those arrangements, as doing so could compromise the integrity and effect of individual security. Well, of course, but they're clearly pleased and they're considering next steps. What does that mean for Harry? We will see. What do you think about all this? Are you surprised? Meanwhile, King Charles finally came out of hiding minutes after this to wave. Finally, happy. Hey, everybody. Oh, yeah. Nice try, Harry. What do you think? Was that subtle? Was that not so subtle? We're going to talk a lot more over in Palace today about what this means, so make sure you hop on over there. And we got a lot of stories to talk about here on Planet. Make sure you smash those buttons, leave your comments, and stay tuned for more coverage here in the Popcorn Universe.
Go!